Well, good afternoon. How are you doing? Welcome to Thinking Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to meeting you every Tuesday at noon so that we can check our mindset. Yes, check our mindset. We know that our thoughts drive our actions, and we are what we think. So we have to keep a check on our thinking. So every week we set aside a few minutes to take inventory of our mindset. What thoughts are we harboring? Are they serving us well? Are they serving you well? Answer that question. What are the results of your thoughts? Are you deliberately cultivating a positive, self affirming mindset? Or are you allowing thoughts to just flow freely into your minds without checking the source and their impact on your life? Just like it's recommended for us to do an annual physical checkup, it's also recommended that we do that even more regularly in our minds or with our minds, our thoughts, our mindset. That's why we've adopted the slogan here for Thinking Tuesday that says, your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds, and you can choose, because it's always your choice. You can choose to grow flowers or you can choose to grow weeds. And we know that when we have gardens and we don't tend to them, the weeds are going to take over. And those are those negative thoughts that take up space in our minds sometimes without us even being aware. So when you tend to cultivate a positive mindset and you cultivate the thoughts that you allow to come into your mind, you will be more proactive in your life decisions and less reactive. You'll be more in control and be less a victim of your circumstances because you're checking your thoughts, you're looking at where they're coming from, what's being infused in there sometimes without you even being aware, and then you can pluck those that aren't serving you. So that's what Thinking Tuesday is all about. So, a few days ago, I was on a flight to Panama, and the captain said something that we hear on most flights, something that has become so commonplace on most flights that we sometimes don't even pay attention to it. I'm sure you've heard it too. The captain said, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing some turbulence. Please return to your seats and fasten your seat belts." Yes, we've all heard that. We've all heard that at some point on a flight. Yet this time, for some reason, I heard it differently. And it made me think of how we respond to the turbulence in our own lives. Because everything is not always going to run smoothly. We have turbulence in our lives. You will have turbulence in your life. It just has to do with how you deal with them. So these were simple instructions that the captain gave. Fasten your seat belts. We're about to enter some turbulence. And take your seats and fasten your seat belts. Yet some passengers had to be reminded by the flight attendant to remain seated until the turbulence had passed. And it made me wonder why it is that some handle turbulence in their life better than others. Why is it that some handle turbulence in their life better than others? We're not always going to handle it the same way. We're not always going to be successful in the way we handle it. But what makes some people handle turbulence in their life better than others? What gets in the way of remaining calm and finding a solution before the situation gets out of control? Much of this can be attributed to what we think, and what is challenging us, what we think about what's challenging us, and how we react in accordance to how we interpret what we're facing. It made me think of the values that we all have at the foundation of our thoughts. Do you find yourself sometimes making decisions out of fear, maybe out of anger, maybe out of frustration, rather than taking time to properly assess the situation, to make an informed decision that would have more positive results? Are you quick to panic, perhaps, because you think that there's no solution for what you're facing? That's unfortunate when we think that way. Or are there past experiences, perhaps, that you can refer to that can inform you about making a better decision? Is there someone you can turn to for advice or guidance rather than trying to do it on your own? What's your go-to method when it comes to dealing with or avoiding turbulence in your personal life? One of my mentors, Paul Martinelli, always speaks about holding your image. He thinks that this is important in creating the life you want to have, the things you want to do, or the person that you want to become. And I could not agree more. Holding your image is so important. You have to have something that you look forward to, something that gives you direction. But in order to hold your image, you have to have clear thoughts of what you would like that to look like. To learn how you can approach turbulence in your life, you have to establish some rules of self-regulation and test them to see whether or not they stand up against the challenges that you face. You have to have some types of rules, some approach. But if you take a particular approach, perhaps, and it doesn't work, be willing to change it. Because many times we feel that this is the only way to do it because that's the way I've always done it. Or that's the way grandma always did it, or the way mom always did it. Because if you don't change the way you're approaching things, you're always going to get the same negative results, and then you'll be frustrated. And then how does that affect the image that you hold for yourself? And how does that affect your approach to other turbulences that you're going to find in your life? So how you see yourself has a lot to do with how you're going to approach whatever challenges or turbulence you find. Paul says when you lack the clarity of holding your image, you invite fear, you invite doubt, you invite confusion. And in a nutshell, you invite uncertainty. Who likes to live with uncertainty? If you're living with uncertainty, it doesn't help you to feel safe. It doesn't help you to feel that you can make decisions. We have to be certain about something. And that's the self-regulation that we need to help us to approach or to confront challenges or turbulences. So today I want to ask you to begin to assess the image that you are holding of yourself and how that has affected your approach to turbulences in your life, or avoid turbulence in your life, because that's what we'd like to do if we can. Do you take a stance and sit down and fasten your safety belt or your seat belt to allow yourself to reflect on the options that you have, because there are always options? Or do you tend to want to barge straight ahead, ignoring sometimes sage advice, wise advice, because perhaps doing it your own way is the only way that you know how to do it? I've always done it that way, and risk the chance of escalating the turbulence? If it doesn't work, fix it, change it. What image do you hold of yourself? Is that one of confidence, or one of fear, or lack of confidence? Success or failure, perhaps? Forward moving or retreating? You don't want to be retreating. You want to move forward. The good news is that if your current self image is not serving you as well as you would like, it's never too late to change it. That's the good news. That's great news. That's marvelous news. An individual can never outperform his or her self image. You're going to perform at the level that you see yourself. So an individual can never outperform his or her self image. So if it's not working for you, make a change. How you see yourself will determine how you manage or avoid the turbulences in your life. It begins with your thoughts, and that's what we do on Thinking Tuesday. We check our thoughts. If you can't do it all at once while you're here, and that's something that you are going to have to do over a period of time. Set aside some quiet time for yourself. Journal what's going on in your life, how you're approaching things. It takes some time to reflect, because how you see yourself will determine how you manage or avoid the turbulence in your life. It also begins always with your thoughts. So if you think abundantly and have a can-do mindset, you will confidently avoid or certainly confront potential turbulence. But on the other hand, if you think scarcity, you will feel that the changes are beyond you, and you will develop go back to a default to I can't attitude. I can't do. So your personal growth is living the life you deserve. Should be living the life you deserve. That should be part of your personal growth plan, to live the life you deserve and that you are worth living. Living a life that you aspire to. And it all begins with your thinking, which drives your feelings. And those feelings are going to drive your actions. You're always in the driver's seat, because no one can fly your aircraft out of the turbulence better than you can. Your thoughts and your self-image are the compass and the roadmap to doing so. Some turbulence we can avoid, some we can't, but we have to have the type of self-image that lets us know that we can confront these turbulence. Sometimes the rules are simple, we just decide not to follow them. Obviously, unfortunately, we repeat the same mistakes again. So if you should need some help around this issue, or if you know someone who does, I'd be happy to offer you a complimentary consultation to help you assess where the roadblocks are and how you can begin to build a roadmap, a plan to remove them. You can visit my website, drcheryl.com, for the programs and services that I offer, and feel free to reach out to me. So I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at noon for Thinking Tuesday, where we can elevate our minds, elevate our thinking, challenge our thinking, and also live the type of life that we want to live, because we are cultivating a positive mindset, we are cultivating a can-do attitude, and we are holding an image of self-confidence so that we can confront those turbulences that we're going to face, or we can avoid those that are avoidable. So take care for now. I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at noon for another episode of Thinking Tuesday. Take care. Bye-bye for now.